12th is the first indication something was wrong when a man in Moab, Utah, told dispatchers he saw Brian slapping her.
We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
At 11, frustration and worry tonight as there is no sign of a missing Southwest Florida woman.
She took a cross-country trip with her fiancé. He returned. She is not and has been heard from in weeks. Her family waits in Vero Beach. Police have named her fiancé as a person of interest.
And the story is that if you were in the Tetons on the 27th of August, please look at your footage, look at your pictures. This is like their last known possible whereabouts. And so I just got chills all over my body and ran right straight back to my laptop, got my GoPro footage, and lo and behold, Gabby's van was on there.
Wow.
He's driving the van on a dirt road. So this is later. This isn't the time when they got pulled over. He's driving the van on the dirt road. And to me, it seems like he senses that she's kind of withdrawing a little bit. And then at one point, he grabs her arm and maybe gets a little of her hair. Like, he's not trying to grab her hair, but he grabs her arm and some of her hair is like there, gets pulled. And then she's like, her feelings are hurt. He's really something. Like, I feel at one point, she might have purchased something that came in a large plastic bag, and he put it over her face and was saying, in the van. So I'm seeing them in the van now again, I don't like plastic. And she's just like, Brian. It feels like she can't do anything right when he starts acting this way, when he gets into one of these moods. I think he might hit her in the head. I'll wait and see a few more times. Like, I saw twice, just when I was meditating earlier. I just saw it twice. Felt like he hit her with a rock in the head. But he might have hit her with his fist or arm or something like that in the head or something like that. Does feel like he hits her in the head. Not in the face, but it's like the side of the head or something. But I mean, it feels like they're right outside the back door of their van. Like, you'd think someone could just see them. I mean, it's not like there's people everywhere, but someone could be driving by. It's not that great of a place to get in a fight, She's trying to pull away, and he's putting his plastic over her face. But then he takes it off. She doesn't pass out. Her nose is bleeding when he attacks, or when he does what he does. He is not thinking at all when he does that. That's some rising spirit energy. He's just not using his senses. He's not using his common sense. And I got it. Chills on one leg. Okay, so right now, I'm by the river. And you could call it a creek or a river. God, I just keep seeing him slam her in the head with a big rock. It's a jagged rock, too. So it's like, it's going to do more damage than a smooth. It's not like he chose that. He just, like, all of a sudden. Well, she's kind of, I wouldn't say she's bitching at him, but it's more like, she has an insecurity inside of her, it feels like. Kind of like or maybe it's just because they're so far away from home and she's all alone and her parents have nowhere to go and she's with this guy, so she wants him to act normal. Yeah, there I go. Got a little chill on my leg about that. See, the problem is, instead of just giving her some time to be okay, the more she withdraws, the more aggressive he gets. It's like he pushes her into the water and holds her head under. And there's the rock again. I think he hit her in the head with a big rock. A big rock. And it has sharp edges on it, too. And they might be just inside the creek. Like, where there's water. But it's like, because he feels like she might not want to go out with him anymore. And she, you know, she feels that way inside, but like, I don't know, he's too sure he doesn't get it if he just backed off, you know, and just, you know, they started acting normal again. But down here by this water, and I'm seeing her in the water, so she'll just be right like at the edge in the creek or whatever. So that should be findable then. See, the river where I see that happening is there's grass down there. Like there's an open area. And I just let it go blank so they can show me. I feel like he hits her in the head with a pretty sharp rock, pretty big sharp rock. And he's like choking her too, like in the water. Like once he does that, he just kind of goes animalistic or whatever. He's choking her. He's just lost his temper totally completely. I don't think it really dawns on him what he's just done until he's covered her. It's like he covered her with leaves or something. It doesn't feel like she's that well hidden, other than it's like a huge forest and, you know, but it's not like she's in a 4-foot grave or anything like that. It just feels like he dragged her up into kind of a cluster of trees, and then, which is obvious because then anyone listening to this would go, well, yeah, duh. But it feels like she's like kind of just below the base of a tree. Like, okay, this is how I see it. I see large open field and a kind of the river. And it could be the Snake River, the way if it snakes, or it could be, if any river does that, then it could be that. It could be the Clear Creek, it could be anything. But, okay, so if you're at the river and there's large open area where the grass is, and then at the far, along the river, if you're looking at the river, you know, across that large open area, and you see like a cluster of trees, all you have to do is go not that far in the first few trees, you know, and he just kind of, I think he just like moves away some dirt, you know, so it would be shallow grave to a non-grave, really. Like, you know, say with your hands, you just go psh, 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 and you know, what's that? Not more than 6 inches. Then just she's there, and then he's like covers her in this mound or whatever, and and it's when he sees her face, and it really sinks in that he just killed her. You know, for some reason I had a total drop in spirit energy, so I don't know if something's really wrong about that or if it's just the dark side of things. I'm not sure, so I'm just gonna let that clear and see what else I get. Oh my God, so I see him stomp on her face. So they just showed me him stomp on her face, so it's actually, he's still angry after he killed her. That's weird. But that's what Barry Morphew was like too. So what here I'm going to do a little pendulum. Is Gabby in her physical body? Of course, we already know she's not. So that's no. 28th. He murdered her on the 28th. Okay, so the pendulum, which is to me a 50-50. I mean, really, it's always been accurate, but, you know, it could be wrong. So he murdered her on the 28th. Yeah, and it's a big guess. So, wherever their car was on the 28th. Did he dispose of her in a very shallow grave? Definite yes. Is it within 100 feet of water body like a river? That's a yes. Is it up by the Clear Creek area? Kind of. It's like an oval yes, which means it's not right there, but it's in that area. It's still saying yes, so. Are the dogs gonna find her? No. How weird, huh? I think they'd find her. Is where they were parked by Clear Creek, is her body, was that the last place she was parked? Was she murdered in that area in the van? At Clear Creek? Is Gabby near the Snake River? No. Is it up on one of the hikes past Jenny Lake? No. Is it by the Clear Creek River? Yeah. They're searching in the right place, I think.
Good afternoon, Josh Taylor with the Northport Police Department. Thank you for your continued diligence on this story, and thanks for your patience. As you know, the Northport Police Department has worked collaboratively with the FBI throughout this investigation. Special Agent Michael McPherson is going to make a prepared statement. There's not going to be any questions today, but hopefully it answers some of them. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael McPherson. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the FBI Tampa Division. As you're aware, the FBI and the Northport Police Department and our state and local law enforcement partners have been searching the area of the Carlton Reserve for Brian Laundrie, a person of interest in the murder of Gabby Petito. Earlier today, investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie. These items were found in an area that up until recently have been underwater. Our evidence response team is on scene using all available forensic resources to process the area. It's likely the team will be on scene for several days. I know you have a lot of questions, but we don't have all the answers yet. We are working diligently to get those answers for you. We are grateful for the dedication and professionalism of the Northport Police Department, along with our partners from the state and local agencies. Complex investigations such as this cannot be accomplished by one agency alone, but there are just too many agencies to name them all here today. Portions of the Myakkahatchee Creek Environment Park and Carlton Reserve will remain closed to the public until further notice. This is an active and ongoing investigation, so we ask the public to maintain distance from any law enforcement personnel, equipment, vehicles, and other related activity for the safety of the public and to protect the integrity of our work. We have no additional comment related to today's activities. Our FBI Denver office is the lead investigative agency, and all future inquiries should be directed to them. We appreciate the tremendous support from the public and continue to ask for your assistance in bringing this investigation to close. Thank you.
Was the backpack found near the body? Justice for Gabby! 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 Justice for Gabby!
How did Brian Laundrie die? It's a question that will be passed on from the medical examiner to a forensic anthropologist.
One way or another, they'll determine from the autopsy and the toxicology the cause and manner of death.
In an interview with Fox Business, forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Bodden explains what an anthropologist will be looking for.
The post-mortem examination will take into account the bones and any soft tissues that are still present.
Now an expert must determine if the death was homicide, suicide, accidental, or natural.
And I'm only saying what I'm being impressed on. So don't blame me and argue with me as if I'm making a case or something, you know? So I'm seeing going into the reserve that trip. Let's see. So are we going to go into the reserve with Brian or his parents? Because they just showed me going into the reserve and I don't know which trip it is. It's like the area where they found that white bag. I think it's going to be so interesting to see what Brian wrote in that journal of his. But like I said, I feel like it's a confession. I feel like he writes a confession. In his mind, what he was doing was not escaping justice. That's not what he was trying to do. What he was trying to do is meter out punishment for himself for what he did to Gabby. I don't deserve to live either if I killed the woman I loved, right? He says, like, the only woman I ever loved and stuff like that. And the only woman that ever loved me like that kind of feeling. I don't deserve to live, and I'm doing everyone a favor type of feeling. Interesting enough, the other day I saw him slashing his wrist, but now I see, and I know they said he didn't shoot himself or they didn't know the cause of death, but it's like I see him holding a gun to his head. So, and it could be symbolic for suicide. Isn't that weird? I got spirit energy. It could be symbolic for just suicide, but I'm not sure, so we'll just see. But it's definitely more of a feeling of, I don't want to be alive without her, but also, it's not a feeling sorry for her. It's almost like he feels like he needs to do justice for himself. It's going to be easier for everyone in the long run, or something like that. I deserve it. There's a big I deserve it. But it's just a wondering feeling like, wow, could he have written where Gabby's body is in that journal? I don't know. I don't know. It's like there's being there, there's communicating with the spirit, there's just getting, psychic stuff, and then a feeling, and then I think wondering would be like the lowest form of potential. So I'm seeing him walking into the preserve. So he's crying, like his nose is running. He knows what he's gonna do. I think he's crying more because he can't change what he did, and what he's doing to his parents, and he knows it's going to hurt them and stuff. But in the long run, this will be better, and I don't deserve to live if, after what I did to Gabby type of feeling. Like, so not a self-pity thing, and not a coward thing like, oh, I'm going to kill myself so I don't have to go to jail. It's a thing of retribution but he's the judge of himself or whatever. and he judges himself to not be worthy to even be alive. A lot of people would agree with that. He's allowing himself to have a total meltdown, almost like trying to push the table over, or wherever. And see, we all know there's a notebook now, so every time they start showing the notebook, I go, well, you know what, everyone knows, and I know we already saw the notebook. But it does feel like it's going to be really interesting to see what he wrote in there. And I feel like he's like just crying, alligator tears the whole time. It feels like he wants to apologize to the families of Gabby Petito, and because I can see all these people lined up, a family portrait, but then both extended families in it, and if apology is not accepted, it's fine. But he feels like he's desperately wants apology to apologize, whether they accept it or not. He feels like he did the only thing honorable that he could do, considering what he did to Gabby, which was to end his own life. So it was nothing about taking the coward's way out, like someone said, or avoiding justice, like someone said. It's all about, one, I can't live with this, and two, I don't deserve to be alive. I don't deserve to be alive after what I did. He feels a little bit like Gabby pushed him. Why did she push me? And don't get mad at me for saying that. That's just, when people go over in spirit, sometimes it takes them a little while to work out their issues too. He puts his hands together when you pray, and he just says apologies. I hurt so many people, and I'm so sorry to each and every one. Under the circumstances I did, but I'm doing the only honorable and just thing. That's going to be probably the kind of bottom line feeling out of what he's saying or writing in the preserve or whatever. The body was right by the gate. Brian only just went right in there, and sat down for a while, and then did what he did. He planned on doing it, and he did what he did. And see, this is the thing. This is so weird. Now I'm getting cutting the wrists again. And I don't know, maybe he was hoping an alligator would eat him. He wanted to suffer like he made Gabby suffer. So it's really weird. So that's the multiple times I've got that. And then when I said that one time, I go, well, maybe he shot himself in the head. I didn't know if that was symbolic for suicide. Because it's I keep seeing him cutting his wrist long ways. And I don't know if he did, I might be wrong, but that's the 4th time I've seen that. Yep, I'm seeing it again. I'm seeing it again. Okay, so I'm not trying to make claims or nothing. This is what I see. He leans against a tree too. Ugh, while he's doing this. Okay, so it's like I deserve to die. I think he would have felt he deserved to be eaten alive by an alligator. That's how he feels. And he isn't even thinking about avoiding jail or this or that. He's just he wants to punish himself and end his life. He doesn't deserve to be alive. And that's how he feels. And he feels like I'm doing the best thing for everyone, but it's more, I don't deserve to be alive. I don't think he wants to hurt his parents any more than they already are. He feels apologetic to them for bringing, all this on them. And he didn't want them to have to find me like this. And then it's just blankness. And so, I'll edit the one from the other day and put up this clip because I'm being shown it again. So, on the other side, how it feels is, how in the books they show Daniel in the lion's den? There's no real lines around, it's just empty. There's only a little tiny bit of light coming through the top. People don't have to worry that he got off easy, or he is already facing, it could also be nothing to do with the book. He's trying to tell me, or it could be, living vicariously through the book. I'm not willing, because I already did it. I did it the other night. I don't know the benefit of uploading it. I already uploaded one before, they were searching or whatever. It's just more detail. Okay, so he's acting like that he feels that he had already started physically abusing her, but he knew he just wanted to get away from her really bad, and it feels like I'm just seeing him choking us some more. See, I'm not willing to go through this again. He's still at a part where he blames some of it on Gabby, and I'm just not going to accept that. I'm not going to look into it today. He will learn. He will be taught. He will learn over there where he's at. He'll learn all these lessons. So I'm just saying, I'm not going to go into his whole murder scene again. I'm just saying, like, Brian, do you have anything else you want to say before I stop? And it's just that I'm sorry to everyone.
Live now from Fox, we do have some breaking news to give to you. This is, remember, the Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito case, and we are now learning that Brian Laundrie, the ruling is now in. He died by suicide. That is according to the family attorney. Forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden joining us on the phone. Thank you, doctor, for joining us here during this breaking news element, and we'll discuss this a little here. First off, we were talking I remember the last time we were talking, doctor, and we were thinking maybe it could have been he took pills or some sort of something like that, but that is not the case now.
Yeah, I just heard about this from you. This just came out. Suicide. Does it say that's the manner of death? What was the cause of death?
Oh, gunshot to the head.
Oh, a gunshot wound to the head. Okay, so he had a gun. He shot himself, and then they should have found a gun at the scene. You know, when the FBI came there, they would have known about that right away. Because animals don't usually remove guns from the scene.
Why did it take quite some time to release these results?
I think it took time because the body had been mutilated, it sounded like, by the animal activity around it. Remember, the body had been underwater, there are alligators around. There would have been at the scene a gun. There would have been difficulty in examining for bullet holes. Usually, the most common means of suicide in the United States is gunshot wounds. That's the most common way people commit suicide. Almost always gunshot wounds to the head. Usually, gunshot wounds to the head are very obvious, but not if the body's been underwater and attacked by animals. So this all makes sense. Something happened between them mentally, and this should close the causes of death for both. However, we still don't know about what was in the backpack and the notebook that he had. There may be a lot of information in the other materials that were found at the scene.
And now, obviously, with the gunshot to the head there, the weapon was nearby. Going forward now, does that lead to believe that they found that right away and that they had a pretty good idea that day, would you say?
Yes, I think when they found him, the gun would have been in the vicinity of where the body was found. It might not have been readily available because of water and because of the decomposition of the skin around the gunshot entry wound. But they would have known pretty much. They would have had the idea that this looked like a gunshot wound to the head. There would have been maybe remnants of blood around that hadn't been totally dissolved by the water. But they wanted further anatomic dissection of the area to make sure they were correct. And that was done with the forensic anthropologist and the medical examiner. But at the time, and immediately at the time of death, when the body was found, there was enough evidence for the FBI and the local police and the medical examiner to be very suspicious that this was a gunshot wound.
News coming in late today, what the FBI has now revealed in the Gabby Petito case, what they now say they discovered in Brian Laundrie's notebook. Here's ABC's Victor Akendo.
Tonight, the stunning new details inside the investigation into the killing of Gabby Petito. The FBI saying her former boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, admitted to killing Petito in a notebook before taking his own life in a Central Florida nature preserve, saying in a statement, a review of the notebook revealed written statements by Mr. Laundrie claiming responsibility for Miss Petito's death. That notebook found near his body, along with a gun and backpack.
Let's bring in Fox 15's Janae Lewis live in our newsroom with a story and what he wrote. Janae, this captured everybody's attention last year. What does this say?
It's still capturing everyone's attention now. You know, since the FBI discovered this notebook last year, there have been a number of questions about what was inside. Agents previously said Laundrie wrote his confession, but now we know why, at least in his words, he did it. Glimpses into his final words. The FBI recovered this notebook last year near the remains of Brian Laundrie in the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County. And now for the first time, we are seeing what he wrote. Inside, FBI agents say he confessed to the murder of Gabby Petito. In the pages publicly released, Laundrie writes, I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it was what she wanted, but I see now all the mistakes I made. The FBI determined Laundrie killed Petito last year while on a cross-country trip. Her parents in New York reported her missing when they stopped hearing from her, then learned Brian returned home to Florida without her. Searchers found her body in Wyoming, and a coroner said she was strangled to death. Laundrie called her death an unexpected tragedy, saying Petito was hurt while they were at a park in Utah. He said he didn't know the extent of her injuries, but knew that she was in extreme pain, saying from the moment I decided, took away her pain, I knew I couldn't go on without her, adding I am ending my life, not because of a fear of punishment, but rather because I can't stand to live another day without her. I've lost our whole future together, every moment we could have cherished. I'm sorry for everyone's loss.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.